If I could follow you around for 1 week, I bet I could predict your financial future. Not because I'm so smart or because I'm a financial coach. It's because your financial habits predict your financial future perfectly. Your financial future is not random. It actually is arranged exactly around the habits that you are doing today. So if you want your financial future to look different than it's looking right now, then you're going to have to start living and operating around a different set of principles. Today, I'm going to teach you 7 life-changing principles if you implement them. Now, I'm going to say this very first one with as much compassion as I possibly can because I don't like to offend people, but this has to be addressed. The very first principle is you must take responsibility. You have to take full ownership of your financial life. You need to stop blaming other people for where you are financially or explaining why it's really not your fault. Now, as a kid, you may not have been taught how to budget or to manage your income or any of the financial terminology out there. And that definitely was not your fault. But now, as an adult, it is your responsibility to learn how to manage your income. Think of it this way: no one is coming to save you. I say that with as much kindness as I can because I know that's a normal thought for a lot of us, that somehow down the road, someone else is going to step in and help us out. If you are going to have an amazing financial life, it is on you. Your job, your budget, your bank account, your retirement, it's all your responsibility. There's not going to be some perfect opportunity down the road that just makes it all suddenly seem easier to do or to achieve the financial life you want. Now, this may sound negative, but it is not meant to be negative at all. In fact, it's meant to be positive because if it's all on you, then you have an opportunity to take full ownership and change your life. You don't have to wait on someone else to make the right decision. You can make the decision today. You don't have the financial life that you want by wishing for it. You get it by working for it. A few years ago, we had a couple of trees in our backyard that were big and beautiful, and they provided lots of shade, and my grandkids like to climb them, and we have a swing in one. And I started noticing a few years ago that they were looking a little puny. So I decided, well, I probably should get them trimmed. So I called someone, and they never did return my phone call. And so I kind of thought, oh, well, I'll just get to it as soon as I can. They'll be okay. But I tried. I tried to get someone to come out. And about a year later, I started noticing they're really not looking good at all. So I called someone else. And this time they came out, they gave me a bid. And then after that, they were a no show. They ghosted me. And so I don't know what it is with these trees, but I ended up saying things like, well, I tried. I called them out. They should have returned my call. And it wasn't my fault. And as I was looking at my trees dying outside, I kept saying, it's not my fault, making excuses. And so this year, I called someone I knew who just started doing trees, and they came out and they ended up having to cut the trees almost completely down. It was so sad. We did leave part of one of them where we have a swing attached, and I don't know how long that will even stand. If the tree is dead, I don't know how long it will continue to be able to withstand the weight of the grandkids and that kind of thing. But anyway, it is such a sad thing that I sat here for several years and I actually watched the trees die. And you may be in that spot too. You may be looking at your budget thinking, well, I never was taught how to handle my money. I was never taught how to budget. I don't know how to handle my income. I don't know what I can spend on and what I can't. And that's where you have to take full ownership of your financial life. The second principle is get aligned. So decide what you really want your financial life to look like in the future. Sit down and think to yourself, how do you want it to look in 5 years? How do you want it to look 10 years from now? 20? How about in retirement? What kind of retirement do you want? Where do you want to live? What do you want to drive? What do you want to be able to afford? What kind of freedom do you want? And choices when it comes to your money. That future that I'm talking about there needs to become your North Star. It needs to be what you're going toward all the time. And that means everything you're doing on a daily basis needs to align with that North Star. You need to ask yourself the question, is what I'm doing now going to get me where I want to be? You know, sometimes we can get so busy, even making money, but the future we're creating may not align with the future we actually want. When my daughter went to college, I got a job and was working not very long when I realized I do not like working out in corporate America. I wanted to be working from home. And I had my bachelor's degree in education. And so the very first step for me, or logical first step, would be to start tutoring. And so I started tutoring. I had two little boys, they were brothers. They came the very first night. I remember I made $45 tutoring them. And I thought, wow, that was easy money. I could do more of that. And so my tutoring journey began. I started tutoring kids every night after school. And that's a limited amount of hours. It's like from around 3 till 6 before the evening starts for families and that kind of thing. So it's pretty limited amount of time, but I was making pretty good money. It was growing. I was getting lots of calls from people and referrals and that kind of stuff. Well, it really wasn't until about 10 years in that I realized that I had topped out. I had as many kids as I could have. I was teaching as many hours as I could, and I was charging as much as I possibly could. And I was topping out at about $2,000 a month. And that may seem like a lot, but it didn't fit into my North Star. My North Star was to be able to allow my husband to be able to retire and for me to continue a full-time income for some time in the future. And so it worked for a while. It kept me busy, but I never really sat down and thought, am I aligned with where I'm going? My North Star. Sometimes we're so focused on today that we don't consider where our current choices are taking us. Where are they leading us to tomorrow? The third principle is minimize your decisions. We are so decision fatigue. We have decision fatigue. And we can become overwhelmed by constantly having to make a decision in our financial life. What am I going to save this month? How much am I going to save? What am I going to save for? Is it okay to spend this money? Should we go on this trip? Should I buy those clothes? All these decisions coming at us on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis over and over and over again. I was reminded of this recently. My curling iron quit working. And so I went to Walmart to get a new curling iron. And when I was walking down the aisle, I saw the big display of curling irons and hair products and that type of thing. And so as I walked down there, I went down with my full intention of looking at the different brands, comparing prices, maybe looking at reviews to see if it was a good product. And I was very surprised to find out that there was only one curling iron there that was the size I needed. And frankly, it was a relief. I just picked it up, put it in my basket, and kept going. And it drove this point home for this principle that I'm talking about, that we are becoming fatigued with decisions. And when we become fatigued, we begin making mistakes. We start taken the easy route. We start becoming inconsistent with our financial goals. And so if we can reduce the amount of decisions we make, the better we're going to be able to do in our financial life. If we're constantly negotiating with ourselves about every financial decision, you'll eventually become tired and inconsistent and probably end up quitting. The next principle is habit stacking. Habit stacking is simply adding a new habit on the back end of a habit that you already have established. So, for example, when you go out in the morning and you are waiting for your coffee to brew, you might stand there and do 10 calf lifts. You might just know, okay, as soon as my coffee goes on, that's a cue for me that I start doing my calf lifts until the coffee is done brewing. So something that is already established, a habit that's already established, is your cue to do this other thing. And obviously you can make this chain as long as you want, but it's the one thing that already is established that helps you to remember the next thing. So in our financial life, it might look like this. You get paid on Thursday. Every Thursday, you get paid. As soon as you get paid, then you go in and you pay all your bills from now until the next payday. As soon as you get done paying your bills, then you turn right around and you look at your bank account and you run through and make sure that there's no odd expenses that you don't recognize, and all the expenses have come in that you were expecting. So that is an example of habit stacking in your financial life. There's very little thinking because you've already decided what's going to come next. You can even track these habits if you want, just on a simple little piece of paper. Something as simple as got paid, check mark, paid bills, check mark, reviewed bank account, check mark. The goal is to build simple sequences around your money that help you manage it without a lot of thought. The next principle is gratitude. And when I say gratitude, I don't mean what am I thankful for, although that is a part of it. It's not just a list of everything that you're grateful for. It's actually training your attention or training your brain to start looking for the good things in your life, the things that are right. Because naturally, our brain scans for things that are missing, scans for lack, things that we feel like we should have and we don't. And if we're not careful, we will train ourselves to start looking constantly for what is missing. So I want you to start asking yourself a question, not just what am I thankful for, but what am I overlooking? Meaning, there are so many blessings around us in our life that we can overlook. They become so normalized that we don't even think of them being a blessing. Example, and this wasn't even part of my video, but this has water in it. It's clean water that I can drink. And this has become normalized. It's not like I sit here and say, thank you, Lord, for this clean water that I have. Because there's so many places and so many countries that don't have the clean water that we have and access to it. And so what are we overlooking in our life that would help us to remember how blessed we are? My life and your life may not be perfect, but they're still pretty awesome. There may be billions of people out there that actually wouldn't mind changing places with you right now. So in the morning, ask yourself, what am I thankful for and what am I overlooking? And then at night, before you get into bed, ask yourself, what went right today? What is something that I'm overlooking that I am so blessed in? It starts training your brain to see the good. So gratefulness doesn't have to be necessarily just a principle. It needs to be a filter. As we look across our world and across our life, that we start seeing good rather than bad. The next one is delayed gratification. We need to get better at delayed gratification. The problem is that most of us are wired for instant gratification. We naturally want what feels good right now. And that's why it feels so good to order something on Amazon, like, oh, I can't wait, or go out to eat, or stop and get your favorite coffee. There's nothing wrong with these things. The problem is what feels good today isn't always what builds a better tomorrow. Delayed gratification is actually choosing what you want most over what you want right now. Choosing to save instead of spend, choosing to wait instead of buy. It's choosing the future you're trying to build over the impulse you're feeling today. Every time you make a long-term decision, you're building something. You're building savings. You're building financial peace. You're building trust in yourself. You begin seeing yourself as someone who plays the long game, someone who follows through. Now, will we do this perfectly? Absolutely not. There's none of us who are perfect. You're going to mess up, and that is okay. We just want to start having more successes in this area of delaying our gratification. Because if you want to know what your life is going to look like in 10 years, look at the decisions you're making today. Your future is built on one decision at a time. Delayed gratification is not deprivation. It's strategically building the life you want tomorrow while you're living today. And the seventh principle, no one's going to like this one, but we have to get control of our cell phones. We need to cut our screen time in half. You probably already know that you're on your phone too much. I mean, I know I am. Most people are. This isn't new information. It's just something that we don't really like to talk about because it's uncomfortable to think that we are actually allowing a screen to steal our life, steal our focus, and steal our life. The average adult spends approximately 4 to 6 hours on their screen every day. Actually, I think this is a low estimate. But just for the sake of this example, let's go with 5. Let's go right in the middle. Okay, so 5 hours a day times 365 days in a year is 1,825 hours. So 1,825 hours. Over the next 40 years, that's 73,000 hours spent on our screen. Now, do you know how long 73,000 hours is? It's 8.3 years of your life you're giving away to a screen. What's interesting is that most of us say things like, we don't have time. We don't have time to get our finances organized. We don't have time to take that course to learn how to budget. We don't have time to plan for retirement. We don't have time to start a side hustle or read that book or learn a new skill that would increase our income. But the average person spends 8 years of their life on a screen. So maybe the issue isn't that we don't have time, it's that we're spending it in the wrong place. 8 years that we could be spending with family, building relationships, learning new skills, getting our finances organized, preparing for retirement, creating additional income, serving others, or simply enjoying the life that's happening right in front of us. I'm not saying throw your phone away. I'm just saying cut your time in half. If you cut your time in half, you've just given yourself 4.1 years of your life back. I think that's a pretty good return on investment. As we wrap up, I'm going to read off all 7 principles and give you maybe a few pointers on each one of them. And I will have a worksheet in the description if you'd like to download that and fill it in later on, or go back and listen to the video again if you want to. The first one is take responsibility. So you want to identify one financial problem you've been blaming on someone else or something else and decide what action you can take. Number 2, get aligned. Write down what you actually want your financial future to look like 5 years from now. Is what you're doing today going to get you there? And if not, what needs to change? Number 3, decision minimization. Create a budget that works the same every single month. Reduce the number of financial decisions and choices you have to make so you're not constantly negotiating with yourself. Number 4, habit stacking. Attach one money habit to something you already do regularly. Like when you get paid, immediately pay all your bills for the next 2 weeks that you pay manually, and then review your bank account. The next one is a gratitude practice. Every morning, ask yourself, what am I grateful for and what am I overlooking? The next one is delayed gratification. Try to wait 24 hours before making a non-essential purchase. Maybe start an Amazon cart that you put things in and let them sit for 24 hours or 48 hours or maybe even a week before you go in and make a decision on those items. It will be truly therapeutic. And then this last one, cut screen time in half. So for this very first week, if you decide on this one, try cutting your screen time down by just 30 minutes. And I'll give you a couple of pointers that I've been using lately. Charge your phone in another room at night. Don't look at your phone until you've done at least one productive thing in the morning, like work out, get ready for the day, read your Bible, get the kids off to school, or complete another task. And here's the important part. Don't start all of these at once. Just pick one, choose one, and really be dedicated to trying to change that area of your life. Be consistent. Consistency beats intensity every time. Teaching people how to manage their money simply is one of the big reasons that I created my budgeting system called Buckets Make Sense. It's a simple system designed to help people apply many of these principles that we've talked about in real life. It helps minimize your decisions. It helps create habits and routines. It helps you think ahead instead of just reacting. It helps you build a financial life on purpose instead of by accident. The life you're living today is largely the result of the decisions you've made for the last few years. And the life you'll be living 10 years from now is being built by the decisions you're making today. Because your financial life is not created all at once. It's created one decision, one habit, and one day at a time. Thank you for being here today. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.